Chrome and Gasoline, Episode 1, and meet the Chevelle SS, the everyman's muscle car, 1966. Welcome back to Chrome and Gasoline. I'm Alex, and today we're talking about the 1966 Chevrolet Chevelle SS, aka the car that convinced America a sensible midsize could still behave like it had poor impulse control. Let's start with what a Chevelle is in the food chain. It's not a tiny sports car, and it's not a full-size land yacht either. It's a mid-size, which is car industry speak for big enough to be useful, small enough to be dangerous. That sweet spot is precisely why the Chevelle became muscle car royalty. It could haul groceries on Friday and your ego on Saturday. Now, the SS part, Super Sport, was Chevy's way of saying, this one gets extra intimidation. In the mid-60s, an SS badge wasn't just a decoration. It usually meant heavier duty pieces, sportier trim, and the kind of engine options that made your insurance agent start speaking in tongue clicks. Quick translator moment, big block. People love to say big block the way they say natural wine or artisan pizza, like it automatically makes you sophisticated. Big block refers to a physically larger engine design that tends to support greater displacement and torque. Torque is the feeling of the car grabbing the earth by the belt and pulling. Horsepower is the brag. Torque is the shove. And the 1966 Chevelle SS, this is where the legend starts feeling real. The styling is clean, confident, and very, I wear a suit to the fight. Not too many flourishes, just enough chrome to reflect your questionable decisions. Chevelle Group Therapy, Session 1. Why do we get emotionally attached to a chunk of steel with a carburetor? Because it's simple. It's honest. It doesn't send you software updates. If it has a problem, it doesn't hide it behind a warning message that says, "See dealer." It coughs. It stumbles. It tells on itself. Option code decoder ring. SS396. You'll hear that phrase a lot in this Chevelle story. 396 refers to the engine displacement in cubic inches for the big block option that became closely tied to the SS identity in this era. That number is basically a neon sign that says, I came here to make noise and shorten tire life. Parking Lot Mythbusters, Episode 1. All SS Chevelles are basically the same. Nope. These cars varied by body style, engine, transmission, rear gear, and the way the first owner treated them. Some were weekend warriors. Some were commuting to work like, hello, yes, I'm late, and I brought 400-ish cubic inches of apology. And here's the part people forget. What makes a car feel fast isn't just peak power. It's the whole vibe, the throttle response, the gearing, the way the factory suspension tries its best, like a responsible friend at a party, and still can't stop you from doing something dumb. Practical takeaway, if you're looking at a 66 Chevelle SS, or even just appreciating one, notice the proportions and stance. It's the blueprint, long hood, short-ish deck, and a presence that says mid-size only if you squint. Ask what drivetrain combo it has and how original it is, because Chevelles are famously swappable. That's not a crime, it's practically a hobby category. Next episode, we'll roll into 1967, when the Chevelle didn't reinvent itself, it just learned new ways to get you into trouble. Chrome and Gasoline, Episode 2. Bigger attitude, same mischief, 1967. Welcome back. I'm Alex, and if Episode 1 was us meeting the Chevelle SS in polite society, Episode 2 is where it leans in and says, hey, want to hear something irresponsible? The 1967 Chevelle SS is an excellent example of muscle car evolution not being a dramatic makeover, more like an experienced bartender refining a cocktail. Same basic idea, slightly sharper execution, and it still hits hard when you're not expecting it. This is a good time to talk about why the Chevelle works so well as a muscle car. People toss around the term A-body like it's a secret handshake. Translator, GM's A-body platform was the mid-size foundation shared across several models. Why does that matter? Because it's the recipe. Mid-size dimensions plus serious engine options equals a car that can actually put its power down without needing a runway. Chevelle Group Therapy, Session 2. I just like the look. That's what everyone says at first. Then you hear it start up, and you begin justifying the purchase in increasingly spiritual language. "It called to me, Alex." "Sure. And my toaster calls to me when it's on fire." Option code decoder ring. When people say numbers matching, they mean the car still has the original engine and drivetrain identifiers that correspond to how it left the factory. In the Chevelle world, that's a big deal, because these cars were popular, powerful, and therefore frequently modified. Think of it like a classic rock band. The original lineup matters, but if the replacement guitarist is better, some fans will quietly forgive it. Now, 1967 is still in that era where muscle cars feel a bit more grown up. The lines are tidy, the bright work is confident, it's less outer space, more tailored jacket with a hidden switchblade. You can, in theory, drive this thing daily. In practice, you'll stop for gas like it's a hobby. Parking Lot Mythbusters, Episode 2. If it says 396, it must be a tire-melting monster from the factory. Not automatically. Factory setups varied. Some were brutally quick for the time. Some were more balanced. And remember, tires back then weren't modern superhero tires. A lot of tire smoke legends were created by skinny bias ply rubber and optimism. Also, conditions matter, gearing matters, driver matters. The bravest horsepower is useless if you're scared of the loud pedal. And yes, I said loud pedal. That's the gas pedal if you're new here. Welcome. What makes a 67 feel fast? It's that wave of torque you don't have to negotiate with. The engine doesn't ask permission, it just starts pulling. The car feels alive in a very analog way, like it's communicating through vibration, noise, and the subtle panic in your passengers. Practical takeaway. When you see a 67 Chevelle SS, look for the details that tell you it was cared for, not just polished. How does it sit? Does it look right? Or does it look like it's wearing someone else's shoes? Ask about suspension, brakes, and cooling upgrades if it's driven regularly, because enjoying a classic is better than worshiping it under a cover like a museum statue. Next episode, 1968, shows up with a full glow-up. New shape, new swagger, and the kind of redesign that makes people argue in parking lots until somebody's burger gets cold. Chrome and Gasoline. Episode 3, The Glow Up, 1968, Redesign and Street Presence. Welcome back to Chrome and Gasoline. I'm Alex, and today we hit 1968, when the Chevelle got redesigned and suddenly looked like it started going to the gym and listening to louder music. 1968 is a big deal because the Chevelle's styling shifts into a more aggressive, more modern look. The body gets that Coke bottle shape people love to say out loud because it makes them sound like they own a clipboard. Translator. The sides pinch in around the middle and flare out over the wheels. It's curves with purpose. It's the automotive equivalent of a power stance. Chevelle Group Therapy, Session 3. I swear I bought it for the craftsmanship. And I bought a leather jacket for warmth. We love these cars because they look like they want to race, even if they're parked at a diner next to a minivan with a baby on board sticker. Option code decoder ring. When people argue SS, they're usually arguing three things: appearance, equipment, and the engine. The SS identity in the late 60s is closely tied to that big block era, especially the famous SS 396 naming. But the real story is that Chevy offered different combinations, and over decades, owners have mixed and matched parts like a Lego set with a V8 addiction. Let's talk about street presence. A car like a 1968 Chevelle SS feels bigger than it is because the design is muscular. The hood looks like it's containing a small thunderstorm. The stance is wider, and the whole package says, yes, I'm mid-size, but I also bench press your entire personality. Parking Lot Mythbusters, Episode 3. Looks are everything. No, but they're a lot. Here's the truth. What makes these cars magic is the balance between look, sound, and feel. The steering is not a video game controller. The brakes are a suggestion by modern standards. The suspension is trying, but the experience is so physical and dramatic that it sticks in your brain. And 1968-era muscle is about more than stopwatch numbers. It's about the sensation of speed. The engine note is rising. The body lifts slightly under the throttle. The way the car communicates traction limits by making noises that sound like it's chewing gum angrily. If you've never driven something like this, imagine this. Modern performance cars are like a laparoscopic surgery robot, precise, controlled, almost too competent. A Chevelle SS is like a bar fight you win with charisma. It's messy, loud, and unforgettable. Practical takeaway: when you're admiring or shopping, ask yourself, are you chasing the perfect factory-correct time capsule, or do you want the best driving version of the idea? Both are valid, but don't pretend you want originality if you secretly crave modern brakes and a drivetrain that doesn't treat traffic like emotional abuse. Be honest with your dream. Next episode is 1969. Peak poster car cool, peak arguments about what's best, and peak chances of whispering nice at the sight of a well-done SS in the wild. Chrome and Gasoline. Episode 4, 1969. Peak sticker poster. Cool. Welcome back. I'm Alex, and today we're in 1969, arguably the year the Chevelle SS became a full-time celebrity. If 1968 was the glow-up, 1969 is the moment the glow-up shows up at prom, and everybody forgets how to speak. The 1969 Chevelle SS has that look, aggressive front end, confident lines, and a stance that suggests it's already idling at judgmental levels. This is the car a lot of people picture when you say Chevelle, even if they swear they're more into sleepers. Sure you are, and I'm more into salads. Chevelle Group Therapy, Session 4. The I had one in high school story. It's always the same. I sold it for $900 to pay rent, and everyone listening has the same reaction. A silent scream that lasts 45 seconds. If you're telling the story right now, it's okay. Breathe. You are among friends. Slightly traumatized friends. Option code decoder ring. Real SS. You'll hear this phrase said with the seriousness of a courtroom oath. What people mean is, did it leave the factory as an SS-configured car, or is it a tribute built from a standard Chevelle? Here's my take. A tribute done well can be fantastic. A fake done poorly is just cosplay with rust. The critical part is honesty and documentation, because the market is full of cars wearing badges like Halloween costumes. Parking Lot Mythbusters, Episode 4, Horsepower tells you everything. It doesn't. Weight, gearing, traction, and, plot twist, driver skill matter. Also, the way a car makes power matters. Two cars can have similar peak numbers, but one feels eager and alive, and the other feels like it's waiting for permission. This is also where muscle car culture gets fun. The Chevelle SS is a platform people personalize. Wheels, tires, exhaust, ride height, and interior touches. And yes, some purists want everything exactly like it rolled off the line. Bless them. They are the librarians of horsepower. Necessary, vigilant, and slightly terrifying when you touch the wrong thing. But for drivers, 1969 is a sweet spot. It's classic, but not too delicate. It's muscular, but still relatively straightforward. It's the kind of car you can enjoy without needing a PhD in why is it leaking today. Practical takeaway: if you're looking at a 1969, focus on the body and structure first. Classic cars can hide sins beneath their shiny paint, like a villain in a tuxedo. Look for straight panel gaps, honest metalwork, and signs of thoughtful restoration. The drivetrain can be rebuilt. Rust is a lifestyle. Next episode, we hit 1970, the year that gets spoken about like a legend, a prophecy, and occasionally a tax bracket. Chrome and Gasoline. Episode 5, 1970, the legend, the hype, and the reality check. Welcome back to Chrome and Gasoline. I'm Alex, and we've arrived at 1970. Chevelle SS territory so famous it practically has its own theme park. Let's address the big headline. 1970 is beloved because it represents peak muscle car energy in a factory package. This is where the Chevelle SS 454 enters the chat. Among those, the LS6 is often treated like the era's final boss. High performance, highly collectible, and capable of starting arguments at any car show within a 5-mile radius. Chevelle Group Therapy, final session. I want one, but the prices... Yep, the market has looked at 1970 Chevelles and said, what if we made nostalgia extremely expensive? But don't worry, your admiration is still free. For now. Option code decoder ring, LS6. Without turning this into a phone book of specs, here's the general idea. It's a top-tier performance big block package that became legendary for its factory-rated output and real-world punch. People chase it because it represents the peak expression of what Detroit muscle was trying to do. Put an absurd amount of engine into a mid-size car and call it a Tuesday. Parking Lot Mythbusters, Episode 5. A 1970 Chevelle SS is automatically the best. Best depends on what you want. If you want the most iconic, the most talked about, the most likely to make strangers ask you questions while you're just trying to buy milk. Sure, but 1966 to 1969 can be just as satisfying, sometimes more approachable and often less stressful to own. The best Chevelle is the one you can actually enjoy, not fearfully dust in it like an ancient artifact. Also, let's talk reality. Factory muscle cars weren't perfect. They were fast for their time, dramatic for their time, and a little wild by design. Modern cars will out-corner them, out-break them, out-everything them. But modern cars don't give you the same theatrical experience. A big block Chevelle feels like you're driving a mechanical event. It's loud, it's physical, it's slightly ridiculous in the best way. And why does it feel fast beyond horsepower? Because the sensations are unfiltered. You hear the engine, you think the drivetrain, you sense the chassis load up. You're part of the process. It's not press button, receive speed. It's negotiate with physics and grin about it. Practical takeaway. If 1970 is your dream, decide what you're really chasing: rarity, originality, or the experience. If the experience is the goal, you may be happier with a well-sorted car that's built to drive, even if it isn't the rarest code combination. Ask for documentation, be wary of too perfect stories, and remember, the most valuable classic is the one that makes you want to take the long way home. That's our Chevelle SS journey from 1966 to 1970. 5 years of mid-size mischief, big block theater, and enough legend to keep parking lots talking for another 50.